Hi, and welcome to the Darksliders podcast with Doug and Brad.
Hello.
This is episode 7, and hopefully we've actually gotten a few more listeners because we had recently a mini episode of Bloodborne Impressions, and then immediately after released episode 6, and we've gotten a lot more views on that than we have on pretty much any of our other YouTube videos. So, if you got some new listeners, kind of
Welcome.
just saying hello. If you go on our YouTube, you can see all of our older episodes as well. How we basically start every single episode is with some games that we've been playing over the past week. So, Brad, it looks like you want to talk about Valiant Hearts. I don't know a whole lot about this game, so I'm just going to let you take it over from here. So, what is Valiant Hearts?
Yeah, so Valiant Hearts was one of the PS Plus games last month. It's kind of a weird game. I didn't really know anything going into it either, but it's basically like a side-scrolling 2D puzzle-solving game set in World War One about this guy who gets taken from his home and has to go fight in the war, and he leaves his wife behind. It's this really very, very dramatic game, and it has this big epic setup that is much different than a lot of war games that you typically see, where you're the essentially Captain America of the army who has to go run out
Yeah.
and kill everyone. This is more like you're sad and you have to go to war now.
Is it so? It's like what? Like it's a super sad 2D plat. Ah, man, why does every like super serious story need a 2D platformer? Just
It's not really a platformer. It's more of like a puzzle game more so than a platformer. There's not really the jumping, running through stuff aspect. It's pretty much you walk through, you find a spot to stop, and there's some kind of puzzle to solve. It's not really a 2D platformer in the traditional sense. It's much more of a puzzle game than anything else.
is it like a difficult puzzle game, or is it kind of like is it more just like push the box, pull the thing, do do do
Um,
do do?
I didn't finish it yet. I'm only a couple hours into it, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's difficult. It's more so than the standard, like, push the statue onto the weight pad, push the other statue onto the weight pad, or
Hmm.
push these buttons in the right order. Like, there's one where you've got to find dynamite to blow up this, and you have like a pet dog who helps you out, and the dog, you have to send the dog to get a bone, and then the bone you plug into the switch, then you flip the switch, which raises a door, which then you have to and it's kind of more of these complicated puzzles. One of the things that I do like about this game is it has a really interesting hint mechanic for the puzzles, which I don't feel like I've really ever seen before. So the
Okay.
way the puzzles works is you come up to the section, and once you start that section, you can't see it, but if you pause the game, a timer starts. And after a certain
Okay.
amount of time, it will unlock a hint. So you can't get this
Oh.
unless you've tried for like X number of minutes.
Oh, that's clever.
So like you get to the puzzle, you're sitting there, you try it, can't figure it out, and then it'll just like pop up a question mark in the corner after the timer goes off. Then you hit start, click on the hint, and it'll say, "Oh." Normally it's like a picture, and it'll like circle an object on the picture, kind of telling you what to look for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
That's kind of
after
neat.
that comes another timer starts, and it gives you more of a hint. So it's more of like a progression system as opposed to just like
Ah.
try this on your own versus okay, here's how you do it, which I thought was really really interesting. I don't feel like I've ever seen that before.
The thing, most hint systems I just kind of turn off because I feel like they give away too much too fast.
Yeah,
Because it just like pops up and it's like, oh well, crap! Don't you? Why'd you tell me? I mean, I know it's taking a while, but don't tell me. But this one actually gives you the option to like select the hint if you want to, but you don't have to.
yeah, and it's not initially available. Like I feel like several games, it's like push select to get a hint as soon as you come up to a puzzle. So it's like,
Yeah,
oh crap, this is a puzzle. Select. Oh, okay, that's what I gotta do, and you do it. As opposed to this, where it's like you need to try this for. I mean, I didn't look at the specific start time, but most of them are 3 or 4 minutes. That it's look through this. Okay, what's going on? I have to try and figure this out, and then go. Oh, okay, now I get it. I need to do this.
did you find the puzzles like frustrating or like because some puzzle games I just find like there's like a really kind of scale balance between challenging and just annoying. And so are these like challenging puzzles that aren't super annoying? Like Portal, I think would be like the perfect example of a challenging but not super annoying puzzle system.
Again, I haven't gotten very far. I haven't really found many that are super annoying. There have been a couple that I'd say were challenging but not annoying, but there were one or two where I needed that first hint to get me going with just to figure out what it was I was supposed to be looking for. Like one, it was like you had to find the set of keys that was so the game's 2D and it's kind of like that layered 2D where you've got kind of like a front part and then you can kind of go through a door to get to the back part.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
So
That's kind of
in the
cool.
background part, there were keys like in like the one far corner of the area you were in, and it was
Hmm.
just like I wouldn't even know what I was looking for, and then a hint came up, so I opened it up, and it's like had the keys circled on it. Oh, that's a thing back there, and then found the door, went back and got the keys. So
Oh, okay.
to the point I'm at, it's not really challenging or frustrating. It's just kind of there.
Just got yeah.
They're
how,
puzzles. There, you think about them for a second, you can kind of figure them out.
how do you? Because we sort of mentioned this with like other games before, and how like all the systems sort of mesh together. Do you think sort of like a it's not a platform, but just like this a 2D puzzle game? Does it fit the story well? Because I feel like the story, like from what you described, is kind of super serious, and like the fact that it's like a from what I saw was pretty cartoony, and not even like a graphic novel-y cartoony. It just looked like like a cartoon.
Um, it kind of fits into it fits pretty well. There's some for the most part because the way the puzzles work is it's like at one point, like I said earlier, not to spoil a whole lot, but you have to like blow up a door and you have to kind of find the dynamite. But there's a couple other parts where it's like, oh, you specifically need to have 3 sticks of dynamite, then 2 sticks of dynamite, then 1 stick of dynamite. Where it's like, okay, why can't I just put 3 on all of it and blow it up?
Yeah. Oh, so it gets kind of gamey
Yeah,
for.
where it's like, okay, this wouldn't be an issue if this wasn't a video game.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Which
That's
it
yeah.
doesn't hamper the story at all. It's just I don't know. It doesn't really necessarily feel like it fits. This is kind of where I'm at with this game. Honestly, it's kind of boring. Like the story I'm really interested in just because it's not a story that's told very often. This kind of like guy gets captured or not necessarily captured but like almost like drafted into the army, like forced to
Mhm.
be there, doesn't really want to be there, and kind of the story of like how he's dealing with this, and there's some stuff with like his family back home and all this other stuff about being away from him. So it's a story that I'm kind of interested in, but just I don't know. I'm really struggling to play through it. Just it gets old pretty quick because I think some of the puzzles start blending together. I mean, I've
Oh.
like I said, I'm maybe 2 hours into it, and I've already done 4 puzzles where it's find the dynamite,
Oh, dang.
or
That's
like
not
I've done
cool.
like three
Yeah.
other puzzles where it's you have to get your dog to tunnel through to a certain area to grab something to bring it back for you.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
I don't know if that
very
changes in
gamey in
later
that respect.
stages, but I don't know. I just kind of slowly started feeling bored with it. Granted, it's pretty unique in the way it's presented. It's just I don't know. I just didn't have much of a desire to keep going with it.
No. That kind of sucks. I think I'll probably give it. I'll probably give it a playthrough a little bit, like once I get my PS4.
Yeah, I'd recommend you give it a try. I don't necessarily think it's a game that's for everyone, but it's interesting and it's kind of set up in a way that you don't see most other games set up.
Yeah, yeah. One where you're not. Yeah, a game where you're not the hero is kind of a weird thing that's not seen a lot of the
You're
time.
not Marcus Phoenix. You're not the Master Chief. You're just the guy who got sucked up into war.
I think that honestly that's just interesting enough for me to try it. At least
Yeah,
try it.
I'd give it a shot.
Although, man, those puzzles sound. Ugh.
Yeah, not
All
for
right,
me.
we'll see. So the game I started playing this week. This is something I literally never do, and I bought a game that I got my first paycheck at my new job, and I bought a game that
Yay.
wasn't on sale, which felt really dirty and unclean to me.
Ooh.
It was
How
only
dare
ten
you support
dollars.
those developers?
I know. So the game I picked up was Joe Danger 2 for Vita because I really 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 like Joe Danger 1
Hmm.
a lot. And so I saw it there, it was like $10. I was like, oh sure, I might as well pick it up, why not? And Joe Danger 2 is basically Joe Danger 1.5. It's the same game, except now you have like a few different vehicles and it's slightly prettier. But I'm enjoying myself with it. I really like I don't know if we've talked about Joe Danger before on the podcast, but how the gameplay sort of works is it's basically like it kind of reminds me of, I guess Super Meat Boy is probably the best example for it, where it's just like a super hard or Trials, of course, which Brad actually likes. Of
I
course,
love
just like
Trials.
Trials. Yeah, but basically it's like you're given sort of like a wonky physics based bike, and you need to get through a level either super fast, or you need to collect a certain amount of things, or maybe do a combo through the entire level, or you have to do it all at once. So how you approach the level, like depending on different objectives, you can either take it really, really slow as you're trying to like pick off pieces and things like that, or you can take it really fast just to get those like speed medals. And that's something I really liked about this is that like every time you go through the level, you can play it completely different based on what
Yeah.
you're trying to do. That's why like Joe Danger. I think Joe Danger 2 tried to do a little too much though from what I played so far. I think I'm about 50% of the way through the game. But basically, because they added a lot of new vehicles, none of them are as fun as the motorcycle he had in the first one.
I feel like that's how every game like this goes, where it's like, okay, we've got a sequel. Instead of just making this better and bigger and slightly different, we're going to change this up. Like Trials added a quad
Yeah,
in the new one, and nobody wants to play as a quad. It doesn't work well. You lose half the game by doing that. I just don't feel like that's the right way to go with these. But I feel like every game like Trials, Joe Danger, all those types of games, it's always, well, if we just change it up, or even like racing games where it's this game you were always in a car, now you can drive a motorcycle.
yeah, and they changed the physics around because I feel like what happens is like now because the physics are like slightly different, that your like muscle memory from the last game doesn't really transfer over, but it sort of does, and your timing is just a little bit different. And
Oh
honestly,
yeah,
it's not like the new vehicles are fun; they're just a little bit frustrating because your muscle memory is all screwed up from the last
yeah.
game. So it doesn't make any sense anymore. I mean I still like the game a lot. Like if you like if you like Trials games, Brad doesn't like Joe Danger for
I do
whatever
not like
reason.
Joe Danger.
Why don't you like Joe Danger? What's wrong with you? Because this game's amazing.
Maybe it might just be like a lack of playtime with it. I played the first one for like an hour or two, and I think going in, I saw it as cartoony Trials, and it's not really cartoony Trials. It's more like Trials. In my mind, it was like Trials meets Tony Hawk.
That sounds way better. Why is that a bad thing?
No, because it sounds
Nothing
way
about
better
that
than it
sounds
is. But to me, like the thing I like about Trials is I just like the difficulty of getting through a level. In Trials, there is nothing to do but get through that level as fast as possible, and they made it as hard as possible to get through that level.
bad. Yeah.
This, if I want to, I can just hold the gas button down, and I'm pretty much done with the level for the first few. Eventually,
Yeah,
it gets
for
to the point
few.
where it's harder, but I don't like the idea of like going back and replaying things. Like for
So,
Trials, once I get my gold medal time, I'm done with that level. I can start working on another one. This, it's like, okay, I did the gold medal time. I collected whatever it is you had to collect in that game. I spelled out danger or skate or whatever it is you have to spell
yeah.
out. I got the trick points. It's got like 5 reasons why I need to replay that same level. Which
I,
I'd rather just have it be, here's your time, beat this time. And I try it until I beat that time and then I can move on.
I think they actually changed that a bit in Joe Danger 2. In Joe Danger 1, they kind of encourage you to do all the objectives at once, but it was a bit more like you did have to play the level maybe like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But in Joe Danger, like it's pretty easy to do all the objectives at once, so you don't have to replay as many levels. I definitely felt that. Yeah, now that you mention it, actually, I just realized like Joe Danger 2, I think I've only repeated like maybe 2 levels of like the 20 or 30 I've played.
Huh.
So yeah, I guess that must have been a complaint that people had because it definitely like it was just something I didn't even recognize in the first game. But yeah, they definitely changed that, so it's much easier. It's not that the game's easier, but the objectives they set out for you are easier to do in conjunction with
Simultaneously.
each other, so you don't have to replay the levels.
Yeah. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of the same issue I had with Ali Ali. And we talked about how I played that game wrong. Because I just wanted to
Yeah,
get through.
kinda.
It's the same thing with me, where I don't want to do all your stupid little objectives. I want this to be Trials. I want it to be a hard level that I struggle to get through, and then I beat the level and go, yes, I can't believe I beat that level. Let me try the next one.
Yeah, I think it's just like a different way that we play games because for games like that, especially like even Super Meat Boy, like I always feel like if a level's short, like I want 100% it, like whatever that means. Like I want 100%, like short, yeah, any short level game I want 100% as I'm going along through it.
Oh
So
yeah, we're
like,
very different. Because like playing Sleeper Meat Boy, I went through like the first one. I was like, I just gotta get through the stupid easy crap so I can get to the hard ones. It's like the first
like you
level,
didn't
it's
get,
like just run through, and then it's like you get to like World 4. It's like, okay, now I gotta try at this.
and you didn't get like any of the bandages or anything like that.
If I accidentally got one, yeah.
Ah, Brad.
I want the challenge, and to me, it's you're just making again. You talked about Valiant Hearts being gamey. That's just gamey to me. I just want to get to I want it to be challenging for the purpose of progression, not just challenging for the purpose of collecting things. And I don't know if we've talked about our different philosophy on collecting things, but I hate collectibles. I don't know if we've talked about that on here or not, but
No, that that we should definitely say that for a different time because I actually like collectibles a lot,
we could
but
have
I don't like modern collectibles at all.
we could have a really good talk about that. We should probably just save that for another time, because otherwise we're gonna
Yeah,
be here forever.
that'll go in our little notes to save for another podcast.
Yeah,
But yeah, oh, Joe Danger too. Yeah, no, we keep getting
a little off topic, but anyway.
a little off topic. No, it's fine. Joe Danger 2, I guess in conclusion, really, really fun. Great portable game. I forgot to mention that because the levels are pretty short.
Mhm.
It's really easy to go through like a few levels while you're in the bathroom or something. And
Which is the only reason for portable games.
and it's levels are super quick, really easy to jump in and out because I know like Vita has like a suspend resume thing where you just turn on and turn off.
which I love.
Yeah, and it's just perfect for this game. It's just a really great portable game. Right now it's $10. If you like the first one, yeah, you should absolutely get it. I think the first one was actually on PS Plus a while back, and that's why I
It was,
played
yep.
it.
I think it was back in like October.
Yeah, so I mean, I got this just because I did kind of want to support the developers and things like that. If you like the first Joe Danger, totally worth $10. If you were kind of like, if you haven't played the first Joe Danger, just wait till this is on sale, and then you should absolutely pick it up for sure. So I guess kind of moving on. Brad actually did that trial for PlayStation Now, which is
Yes.
you stream a very strange list of games
Yeah, a
from what
very
I've read online.
odd list of games.
Yeah, and basically it's not it's basically like Netflix for games if Netflix
Hmm.
only had like 30 movies.
And just mostly the bad ones. Or the really
So,
old ones.
yeah, so Brad, I guess first before we actually talk about the specific games you got into, what was your experience with PlayStation Now itself?
um, it was kind of a very interesting thing because I mean it's pretty much instantaneous. Like you just go through the list and like we mentioned a second ago, the list is not very great. Like I think it advertises 100 plus titles, and of those 100, I narrowed it down to like 8 I wanted to play. And my goal was I have this week off work, so my goal was okay. I've got 7 days. There's like 8 or 9 games on here I want to play. I'm just gonna put a few hours into each one. So that was kind of my goal going into this. But what's
Yeah.
weird though is if you go to the PlayStation Now tab on your PS4, it gives you 2 different lists. And there's really not a whole lot of variation there's a lot of variation, but there's no separation of the list because only about half the games listed on PS Now are available for subscription purposes.
Ugh.
So you can get like The Last of Us and you can get all these other newer games, BioShock, all those ones, but those aren't subscription games. Those are rentable games.
Oh, that's slimy.
Yeah, which I didn't realize when I started the subscription that it's like, no, 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 no. This library of like a couple hundred games, you just get to look at these ones because you're not paying per game.
I think they could probably get away with that if the subscription selection was just it didn't have to be newer games, but they just had like a bigger breadth of older games. I
Yeah.
think that would be acceptable. Like, okay, to play the newest game, yeah, you'd have to rent it. I was like, okay, I'll let you do that. But if you already don't have a great list of their subscription stuff, and then
Hmm.
they're sort of like, if you want to play the decent games, then you need to pay for them anyway. So I'm not quite sure, but you didn't pay for anything yet.
No, it's all
You
free.
this.
Free 7-day trial, and I don't know how long that'll be up, but if you're interested, give it a shot. But my biggest concern with this was lag. Like, I don't have the fastest internet connection in the world. I mean, I have the typical like average Comcast internet connection, not the like I want the fastest internet ever. But for the most part, lag was like not really too much of an issue. Every now and then it came up, uh, but I played a game
Was
like
it lag? Was it lag like controller lag, or like were you like watching the screen would like stutter or something like that?
stuttering on the screen,
Oh, weird.
which
What
really
does it
does
look
hamper it.
like?
But it's like it gets all pixely and just kind of like it. It's almost like there were a couple of points where like the screen like had like slowly like you could see the image like changing like frame by frame. It almost just looks like a really really terrible frame rate issue.
Oh, weird.
But I mean, at this point, I've probably put maybe 8 or 9 hours into my time with PS Now, and maybe I've had 10 minutes worth of it. So it's not really a super
Okay.
huge issue, but when it does comes up, like it's kind of similar to Netflix, where all of a sudden it's in a lower quality for like 30 seconds and then it's back.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got
It's like that, but it's just it hampers it so much more now because I was playing like the biggest time I had it was when I was playing Nights into Dreams, the old Sega Saturn game. And
Yeah.
as I was going through level, it's a timer-based game. It's you're moving pretty quickly, so like as that happened, it was like, wait, what? Where am I? Like you just kind of lose track of it.
Yeah, because one of the games I saw that was actually on there was Hot Shots Golf,
Yep.
and I was like, that to me is I would actually like you. I'd actually ask you to try that one because the whole point is like this thing has like a little bit of just inherent lag because it's going
Mhm.
through the internet connection, and that game is so crazy timing based.
Oh yeah, it is. I
Like I
should
could
try that. I haven't
imagine
tried
play,
that one yet.
yeah, and I imagine if, like any of those lag spikes. That game's actually really hard. If people haven't played Hot Shots Golf, the game's actually
So
pretty
hard.
hard. So I imagine, so I imagine if you missed a stroke or something, that could like really just screw up your whole game.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how they do that.
The only other thing I had with it is because it's all streaming, some of the save things and like disconnect issues come up. So I had this happen twice to me. Once I was mentioning with Nights where I got to a frame rate issue, and apparently, like, I don't know, my wife like logged into Netflix while I was trying to do it, and like we both had our computers on, and basically just tried to kill the internet. And I was basically done with the level. And the way that game works is the levels are like 10 or 15 minutes long, maybe not even that long. But I was up to the boss fight, and nothing had saved for the past 10 minutes. And as soon as you
Oh,
lose your connection, it just pops up a screen that says connection to servers lost, game has been exited. And there goes all your
oh,
progress because it doesn't have any save mechanic on it, which is something you normally wouldn't have to deal with. Essentially, like if the power went out in your house and you go, dang it, I haven't saved for the past 20 minutes.
oh. Well, I thought they would do like some sort of suspend thing because you're connecting to a server. It doesn't suspend.
Nope. And that was my other issue is Sonic I had or no, I switched that around. Knights was the one that suspend thing. The issue with Sonic was where we'd all tried to get on the internet at once. But with Knights, I paused it thinking that it was fine. And I don't remember where I was going, but it was like one of those like, oh man, I haven't saved in like 10 minutes. I'll just pause this. I just had to like run out to the store or something, get something really quick. And I
Yeah.
came back and it was just on the home screen. And apparently, because you're connected to a server and because there's so many people connecting to a server, that it has like a timeout. Like if you haven't
Ah,
touched this within 5 minutes, it's gone.
that's
Which
rough. I don't like
I
that.
didn't know, so I came back and oh, there's all my games gone. Which, again, there's just slight issues that you have to deal with a little bit that you wouldn't think of normally. But
Yeah.
I mean,
This.
it works
Yeah.
really well for the most part. Like I said, I mean, the issues out of 8, 9, 10 hours, maybe filled maybe 5 or 10 minutes of that, which for a service that's
That's not bad.
relatively new and the kind of the first thing really trying this on a home console, I mean, I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess this is one of those things like I might pick up once they're. I mean, it's like being on like the first person to get on Netflix. So like you gotta wait
Mhm.
till there's actually
You
like a nice selection of movies
you
or
know there's going to be
games.
issues initially, yeah. And eventually the
Yeah.
selection will get built up to the point where it's probably better, but
I think the tech itself is pretty cool. I am the one thing I am a little bit scared about though is they're going to be like, oh well, now you can play PS4 games, but because like PS4 games are in 1080p and like you're just not going to get that clarity that if you had
oh
just
no,
bought
yeah.
it. But people are going to be like, oh, why does this game look like crap? It's
Mhm.
like, like I mean, I know about this stuff, so like I wouldn't be considered like a traditional consumer, but I feel like somebody
Yeah.
who's like, why can't I get a game that looks exactly like a disc-based game when I'm streaming? Now, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Why does Bloodborne look fuzzy?
well, Bloodborne looks a little fuzzy anyway.
That's true. That's also true. But why does it look more fuzzy?
Yeah.
But
So what game? Because we are talking about games we played. So what games did you actually play with this service? You said Knights. You said
yep. So I played
Sonic.
Knights for a little bit. I played Motorstorm Apocalypse. I just ran through a few races with. Virtua Fighter 5. The something something edition definitive great extra super special whatever you want to put after that, and then Sonic Generations were the four games that I've played so far.
Yeah. So okay. So which games do you want to talk about?
Really the only one I feel like I got enough to talk about is Sonic. So Sonic Generations is kind of basically an updated take on Sonic from about, I think this game came out in like 2011, somewhere around there. It's
Hmm.
4 or 5 years old at this point, but it does a really good job of combining 2D Sonic and 3D Sonic, and that was kind of their goal with this is
Yeah.
we're going to get these concurrently in the same game and try and make this work, because Sonic is like the most ridiculously destroyed franchise in the history of anything. Um, but I really felt like this game was what a modern Sonic should be. And there were some definite issues with it, and my biggest thing was like, it's almost sad that this game is considered to be the best Sonic game since like the Dreamcast.
Yeah. So I'd play this game on PC a while back. So I had to play like 60 frames per second, like what you need to play a Sonic game at.
Yep,
And yeah, this game is just okay.
very
It's
okay.
yeah. I thought the first of all the game is like this game has one of the strongest art styles I've ever seen in a game. For whatever reason, I don't know what they're doing over at Sonic Team, but their arts are incredible. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good looking.
Is it very pretty? And even today, I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, this still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. It just and it's like really creative environments and things like that. It's a mix of like I don't know, 15 years of Sonic games. So they can
Yeah,
pull
because
from
I
like
mean, it's
whatever they
basically
want.
separated into there's essentially like three worlds. There's Genesis World, which is Green Hill Zone, all those classic ones. Uh, Dreamcast era, which is kind of your Sonic Adventure
Mhm.
type environments, and then kind of the modern ones, which I didn't recognize anything because I haven't played a Sonic game since Sonic
Yeah.
Adventure 2.
I thought the coolest levels in that game. Actually, I didn't enjoy playing as 2D Sonic too much because the physics still felt a little like off.
Yeah.
My favorite parts of those games though were playing the modern Sonic, which is surprising. playing the modern Sonic in the classic levels because like Chemical Zone is like is such a
Oh
cool
yeah, that
looking
was really cool.
level. Oh my gosh, that level's so cool.
Yeah, that game. I think that game hits its stride after like in the first three levels.
Oh, you think that's like it's just the best? That's the best part of the game is those
The
first three
best
levels.
part is the first three. Like as it goes on, it gets progressively worse, and that might just be because my interest in Sonic stems from the Genesis and Dreamcast games, which are covered in the first like 5 or 6 levels, and I
Yeah.
have no real relation at all with the lighter half. But
Oh, yeah. The story is really stupid. The
yeah,
story's
the
really
story's pretty
stupid.
bad. So basically, the general idea of the story is this mysterious thing, which I'm sure you can figure out who is behind the mysterious thing, um, has come and is destroying and trying to take all of the stuff out of the world or something. And because of that, 2D Sonic and 3D Sonic meet up, and it's some weird time travel story that doesn't really make any sense at any point.
Yeah, it was just really stupid. I didn't I like I thought it was kind of cool. I think like the intro cutscene when it's like old Sonic meets new Sonic was kind of neat.
Yeah,
But then like after that it's just like oh, it's like I feel like they keep getting complaints about having Sonic's friends and like okay guys, we're not going to put any of Sonic's friends in this game. They put a ton of Sonic's friends in this game.
they put literally every one, but they only put them in for like 2 second chunks. Like
That's
each one
true.
gets their like 3 lines of dialogue, and then you never see them again until the final cutscene.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Oh, one thing I didn't like about this game, uh, besides the fact that it's pretty, it doesn't play well. The boss battles, I don't even remember the boss battles, but I remember I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and the boss would just die, and it was just
Um,
really confusing.
so the first boss is pretty well done. I felt like the first boss you fight a giant Doctor Robotnik slash Doctor Eggman, depending on what era of Sonic you're from. He
Yeah.
has this giant robot thing, and you just the first one makes sense because it's basically you just have to run around. His arm comes out, you jump on his arm, run up, hit him in the head. He goes
Hmm.
wah, falls backwards, and then you repeat 3 or 4 times. So that one
Yeah.
works. But like the second boss, you fight Chaos from the Dreamcast games, and
Oh yeah,
assu-
that was so
assuming you're
weird.
familiar with Sonic, the progressions should pretty much make sense. But you fight Chaos from Sonic Adventure, and yeah, that one you basically just run at it, and when you run at it and you get close enough, a cutscene happens.
Yeah, I just found that one really frustrating. And I think there's like a quick time event too. So if you miss the quick time event, you get booted all the way back to the beginning of the running section.
That's on the just on the last attempt. The first, I think it's 4 attempts you have to make at it, and the first three are pretty much you run up, it happens. But the last one, there's a quick time event that you have to time.
I hate that.
But
And then the last boss. Okay, this
is
is going to be spoiler territory. Is one of the worst bosses I've ever played in my
oh
life.
my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. There is nothing that makes sense about that boss fight. I literally, by the time I think I tried like 3 times, and then I figured out kind of what I was supposed to do. And I still don't think I did it right because there's a whole mechanic that's introduced that I didn't even use. Because
Yeah,
basically, what I did is I just ran at it, and you're playing as whatever Super Sonic. I don't remember the name of
yeah, it's Supersonic.
the,
It's,
the
I mean,
Dragon
that's not a
Dragon Ball
spoiler
Z
though.
Sonic.
Huh?
Dragon Ball Z Sonic.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, you play as that, and like you just run at it, and when you get close enough, you hit it in the special spot, and then you get knocked back and you try it again.
Yeah,
And
but
there's a
to
whole
that
mechanic
should
about throwing stuff at it or something. I don't even know.
yeah, like running it should be like that's like a really simple way to describe it. But when you play it, it is so confusing.
Well,
It,
it's
it
all
doesn't
from
make
like behind, so and it's basically like an on rails like type thing where you can just go up, down, left, and right, and
yeah.
it controls like garbage. And oh my gosh, it's one of the worst boss fights I've ever seen.
I honestly felt like that just part was just unfinished.
Yeah.
I think they just like ran out of time or something. Like screw it, we're just gonna say like it looked good, but gameplay wise was like completely not
It was
finished.
I mean, it was borderline unplayable. Like after like the fifth or sixth time, I was like, I'm just not even gonna bother. I don't. It's not worth it. Like to actually
Yeah,
get through this, it's not worth it.
that annoyed the crap out of me. But yeah, it is kind of weird that people are like, this Sonic game's so good, and it's not very good.
Which
It's
is
okay.
so sad comparatively. I mean, I haven't played any of the other new Sonic games, but if this is the best one, whew, I'm a little nervous about the rest of those. Although, admittedly, I have a passing interest in Sonic, so whenever I see one like cheap, I'm tempted to be, oof, that's only $5, maybe.
I've heard
But
I've heard the Wii one's pretty good. I heard Sonic Colors was okay.
that one I have, yeah, I've heard that one's pretty good too. But the rest of them, I mean, I just heard nothing but terrible, terrible, terrible things about.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like with Sonic Generations, they just Yeah, they basically been playing so many crappy Sonic games that this one is like a decent game. It's like, oh my god, this game's amazing. It's like, no, it's just like
No,
an okay
it's
game.
tolerable. It's playable.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it hits the nostalgia factor so hard too, because I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
basically are just playing through. Remember, it's basically, I mean, just level after level of remember this, remember this,
Oh
remember
yeah.
this.
But
So
then you get to a certain point and you're like, you don't remember that part. So,
nobody played this game. No, I don't remember this part. I
although
don't
I mean, it's
remember the
pretty
weird
good that like the
lizard-looking ninja.
yeah, it is good though. Like if you want to play, it's like you rent. This is like a perfect like rental game. So just play like the first three levels until you start not recognizing stuff, and then just stop playing, and then you're fine.
Like level 5 is where like Sonic Adventure 2 stops, and at that point, is yeah, just stop after
Yeah.
that point.
Man,
But perfect
that
for this.
chemical plant zone though. Oh my gosh, that is such a good. That is such a fun level.
But if you do the 7-day free trial, I would highly recommend playing through the first little bit of this game.
Yeah. So I hope maybe next week we'll have a few more of your just playeds on PS Nows.
Absolutely, yep.
All right. So that's kind of the games that we've played. So we're gonna start talking about games we want to play, and so it's that time again where it's the beginning of a new month, and
Woohoo!
the beginning of a new month means new PS Plus games. So we're gonna
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the announced PS Plus games. We're just gonna go one by one, what our thoughts on it are. So starting with Never Alone, Brad, you're super excited about this game, and you've been excited about this game for a while.
Yeah, and I don't really know why.
Okay, I actually know what this game. Okay, what do you think this? Because I actually do know what it's about. So what do you think this game is about?
This is just one of those games where you know those games that you hear so much about and like everybody like has their opinions on, and I'm always really interested just to play those games, and this is one of those games that I don't really know a whole lot about. I know it's something to do with Alaska and something to do with a wolf, and it's a
Yeah.
puzzle game, and it looks really pretty, and that's about where I'm at.
Okay. That, yes, that is the bare. Yes, you did see like 3 seconds of gameplay footage. That is a good
I
way to describe
absolutely
it.
did.
So what this game is, besides, well, it is like a platform where you play as a fox and you play as an Inuit child. But how the game progresses is that you actually go through like folk tales of like Inuit folk tales.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
like,
And aren't they? They're the actual folk tales, if I remember correctly, right?
yeah, yeah, and like the loading screen in between levels is them actually interviewing like tribesmen about these tales.
Oh,
So
that's
like you
really cool.
hear, yeah, so from what I understand is like you hear the tale before you play it. So you have like a really old woman or an old man like tell the story as they would tell it, and then you play it, which I thought
Oh,
was
I
really cool
really
because
like
it's like
that.
yeah, I think it's cool because it's like a educational is probably not the right word, but I mean if you're playing stupid video games for forever, like we have, like it's good to learn things every once in a while. I wouldn't mind if more games started pulling in more educational stuff. Like
Well, that's
Assassin's Creed should have way more educational stuff than it does.
well, see, that's curious that you mentioned that because Valiant Hearts actually every level you get to, every new part you get to, it actually has like historical information about that battle, that part of World War One that you can
Oh,
actually
that's cool.
read through. So like you hit the triangle button and it pulls up like a 2 paragraph thing about like the battle of such and such or the French culture at the time or something like that, which I didn't mention before, but that's kind of an interesting point too, and it's something you don't see in games. It's normally just like go kill all these guys.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I kind of wish more games did that. I feel like I feel like if I'm gonna spend like a lot of time just like sitting, playing games, like it'd be nice to learn things every once in a while. And I mean,
Doesn't feel like a
and to be
complete
fair,
waste
like I
of
played the
time.
crap out of Math Blaster back in the day. Like I wouldn't mind a PS4 Math Blaster. Not now, but if they release that, I would totally buy that for my hypothetical kid that doesn't exist.
You
Um,
wouldn't buy it for you?
no, well, I mean, I know what 1 + 1 equals. Like if they were doing like algorithms and derivatives of like if they were doing like calculus math blast, oh my god, calculus math blaster would be ballin'. They should totally do that. Oh my god, if they bring math blaster back, they should totally put calculus in there.
Well, you've got to update games so that it hits the age of your intended audience. So the only
Exactly.
people who know what this is are our age. So
Yeah,
calculus
exactly.
math
You just
blaster.
you put in like I think math blaster is like you had like ages like grades 1 through 5,
Yeah.
but I just put that grade 1 through like postdoctorate.
Well, it sounds like we need to get on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna send a tweet out to somebody.
All
Anyway,
right. So anyway,
so that was our talk about Never Alone,
and math
kinda,
blaster.
and Math Blaster. So I guess the next game neither of us really know a lot about this game. Tower of Guns.
Well, I think this was almost more or less announced with PS Plus. I don't think there was much out about it before that, was there?
No, I had heard about this one. I actually had heard about this. This is kind of like one of those like Steam indie darling games
Oh,
that
okay.
like a lot of people were talking about, and it just looks really cool. I don't think we can say any more than what the trailer shows you, but it looks like a 3D bullet hell game, and I love bullet hell games like shmups where there's like a bazillion bullets flying at you,
Hmm.
and you like move really like really pixel width to dodge the bullets. Like I really do like those games a lot. I don't play them as often as I want to, because they're kind of expensive. But a 3D bullet hell just sounds super cool. I don't know
Yeah.
how I feel about random generation though, because I always feel like I'd much rather have a handcrafted level than a randomly generated one.
I agree completely.
Yeah, and I feel like just the randomly generated it can get repetitive really quickly because everything like I think once you play a game for maybe like a randomly generated game for maybe 5 hours, you've seen all the permutations,
Hmm.
and everything after that is just kind of like a little
Slight
like
variations.
slight variations on it. Like you've seen all the tiles that they use, you've seen all the enemies that
Hmm.
they use and things like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and my issue with that is I feel like you lose that aspect of making progress because at any point you can see any part of the game. That's always my
Yeah,
issue with this. Is it's like, okay, so if I just replay the first level, 20 times, I'm technically going to see the majority of the game minus enemy places, different, that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
in terms of environments and everything, I could see the entire game just by replaying the first level. I don't know. I
Yeah,
have a lot of
I
issues
don't
with
know if you
randomly
start at
generated.
square zero though every time though. Like because there's a few roguelites will like start you back off at like level one, but there might actually be separate levels. I don't know. I haven't played this game. I'm really curious to play this game.
Yeah.
And because I haven't because Painkiller is probably one of my favorite games ever, and I haven't played a Twitch shooter in forever, especially a single player one.
I mean, there's not many of
So
them at this point. It's kind of a dying
no.
genre.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think. I was honestly like trying to figure out a game that's kind of like Painkiller that I wanted to buy. Shadow Warrior might be closer. That game I really want to play.
The only other one I can think of is maybe like Serious Sam.
Oh yeah, I played a ton of Serious Sam games too. But yeah, I mean, when's the last Serious Sam game? Serious Sam 3 came out like 6 years ago or something like that.
Was it really 6 years ago? I felt it was only 3 or 4, but
Well, I mean, either way, it came out a few years ago, and
it
like
was a
that's
while
the
ago. Yeah.
only game in its genre.
Yep.
But so I'm kind of excited for Tower of Guns. Dishonored. I never played Dishonored, so
I
I'm
love
just kind of
Dishonored.
excited to
That's
play
a great
Dishonored.
game. It's
Is it
so
good?
good. Oh, it's so good.
Okay, I think a lot of people know about Dishonored, so
Yeah,
I think that
that's I think that's the big name one this month. I feel like, and I don't know, just that one. You can do whatever you want in that game, and I really like that. It feels, I mean, almost like Metal Gear Solid, where you can play this either way. The game doesn't. It kind of pushes you more in the stealth way, but you can totally get away with just running through that level, doing whatever you want, and the
hmm
game doesn't necessarily punish you for it. It makes it harder and more difficult, and it kind of changes the way you play it. So instead of sneaking around and having to sneak, like I'm picturing, like there's a level in in a town, and you can kind of sneak through the back alleys, go up, climb up buildings and stuff. I mean, or you can just pretty much run straight through it. But if you do that, then more alarms sound and more guys come, and so
Huh.
it kind of almost adjusts as you play. I don't know. It's a very, very well made game, and I
Yeah, I
really
played
enjoy
about
it.
like 5 minutes of this game. Like, I don't think I ever got to like the intro part. It just didn't click with me. But now that it's like free and I have like easy access to it, I think actually I'm gonna give it a fair shake. I actually really do. Oh shoot! You know I'm not gonna be able to play this game this month. Dang! I just realized this. Yeah, I'm moving, so I
Oh
gotta.
yeah.
not gonna be playing the PS3 games. That's a bummer. Shoot.
Ouch.
All right. Well, anyway. Next one is I'm not gonna pronounce this right. Arua's Awakening, which I had vaguely heard about before. I think
Yeah,
I'd
it's
seen a
another one I've
trailer
never heard
maybe
of.
a few months ago, but I don't know. It looks okay. I don't really have an opinion of this. What do you think?
It just looks like. I mean, it looks like a platformer without enemies and stuff. Everything I've seen, it just looks like it's more of a get through the level type thing as opposed to a. I don't know. It looks like another platformer. I feel like
Yeah,
these like indie platformers have become so just overdone at this point. I mean, everything's been done once in these games at this point, so I don't really have much of a feeling about it. I'll try it, but
yeah. I think unless you have something like really unique, or you do something really like Shovel Knight, like did their aesthetic like
oh yeah,
really well. I think unless you're doing something like super unique and you're doing that whatever unique thing really well, you're not going to stand out. Especially with like Ubisoft stepping into the indie platform game.
yeah, yeah.
It's
There's
gonna be
just so many of these that I don't know. Unless you've got some, yeah, like you said, unless there's something special which this one has some like weird teleport looking mechanic that,
Hmm.
but even that doesn't necessarily do enough to set this apart from everything else for me to be overly interested in it.
Yeah, I'll play it though because this might be one of those games like you're not really gonna get it unless you get it in your hands, and it could be awesome.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna try to get. I
it does
might
look
give.
pretty. It does look pretty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like that hand drawn look. 'Cause it looks like a '90s comic book like Spawn or something.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I think that's kind of cool. I would like more games to use that. I do like that comic book aesthetic. So I wouldn't mind if more games used it.
Hmm.
Next game. Oh man, this is one of those games I was going to buy. Sony, stop doing this. Stop. I don't know. I
Why?
mean,
You're
it's good
saving
for
money like
me.
crazy.
Yeah, it's good for me. I don't know if it's good for business, but Killzone Mercenary is coming to Vita, which is like arguably, from what I understand, besides Persona 4, like the best Vita game you can get.
Oh, it's so good. This is another one I've played. This is like my weird month where it's like, oh, these games are so great, but I own the ones that I'm really excited about. Yeah, and this is the weird thing about this too is this is one of the few AAA Vita games like where you could say this is a AAA game
Yeah. This is one of those games that they made them stop making AAA Vita games because it was so expensive and awesome.
and did not sell well, but this game feels like a full out console FPS. This does not feel like a handheld game at all.
I remember I had heard that when this had come out because Shadowfall had come. You actually own Shadowfall, so you've beaten both this and Shadowfall,
Yes, I
right?
have, yeah.
Which one do you think's better?
Um, Honestly, I think this is better. I think Shadowfall was a bit of a disappointment, whereas this fit in with the. This blew my mind out of my expectations because I just bought this like $10 on sale once. Just
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a Killzone game for Vita. I've played Shadowfall. I've played through all the Killzone games. Like, I'll give it a shot. And just kind of expecting kind of like a more toned down, just kind of very simple, straightforward thing. I mean, this is a full out Killzone game. Like, this is up there with, the better Killzone games, absolutely. I would definitely say it's better than Shadowfall. If I had an option, I would play this over Shadowfall.
That's crazy. Like that honestly like shocks that shocks me. Uh that's yeah. I'm really glad these guys I really hope that rumor. I keep mentioning this like every time. I really hope that rumor that these guys are taking over the Killzone franchise is true. And the Killzone guys can just not make Killzone anymore and do whatever that crazy ass concept art that was leaked a while back. They just make that game.
Like, leaked like 2 years ago at this point, I feel like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
That game
nothing
looked
else.
Yeah, giant robot dinosaurs. Yeah, do whatever you want. I think a lot of their time. I feel like a lot of the problems with Shadowfall though was that it was like a launch game and they'd create a new engine and everything. I
Yeah, it
gotta
was a lot
imagine
of
they.
like working with new tech, like trial and
Yeah,
error. I'm sure there was so many things with that, but yeah, this game you need to play this game if you have any interest in FPS games at all or Killzone anything. Just play this game because this is one of the more. This game is one of the games that really impressed me when I got my Vita. This is what handheld games could be if Sony wasn't slowly moving away from the Vita, but this game is fantastic.
yeah. I'm really excited for that one. And actually, the final game. This is gonna sound weird, but I'm the most excited for this because this is the first time I've literally never heard of a game until like they've announced it for PS Plus. Like all the PS Plus games before, I've seen like trailers before, but man, Monster Bag, I have no idea what this game is. It looks cool. It looks
It
like
looks really awesome.
yeah, it's got like a really I'm sure that's gonna look gorgeous on the Vita because it has like that really clean vector art style that like
Yep.
Hohokum had.
Yeah.
There's a few other games that have that, but like that super clean art style on the Vita is gonna look so good. But I have no idea what this game is about. None.
Yeah, I couldn't even begin to say anything about this game other than it looks really cool and I want to play it.
Yeah, it looks like you're a monster and you change people's emotions. I don't know. We'll see. uh, Moving on to some more news. Nintendo actually had they had a Nintendo Direct recently. A lot of news came out of this. And I feel like a lot of people are talking about this. But we're basically going to talk about the things that we thought were kind of interesting from it. I know a lot of people are excited for the um, Super Smash Bros. DLC, but there's people who can talk about Smash Brothers way better than we could.
Yeah,
Um,
very casual Smash Brothers fans.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was kind of hardcore into Brawl, but I'm not getting a Wii U anytime soon. So first big announcement, I think this is the coolest one, is that the newest Fatal Frame is coming out to America. I was like, that is awesome.
Oh yeah, that's mhm.
That made me kind of excited for Wii U. I kind of I was thinking about like this is one of those games that would make me buy a Wii U. Did you play Fatal Frame? Are you a Fatal Frame fan or no?
I've never played them. They're games that they came like. I feel like the last one that I remember was PS1, or were there some after that that were
No, there's
released here?
PS2. It's a PS2 series
Oh, okay.
entirely.
Yeah, see, I never played them. I didn't really have that much of an interest in them at the time, but it's one of those games, like, looking back on that, I've looked at a couple times just to go back and buy at this point just to try, because the concept of it just seems really cool, and it's the whole aspect of that game. I don't know. I have a very big interest in it, and I will for sure be getting it when it comes out, because it looks really cool, so. But I have no background with the franchise at all.
Oh, you've never. Oh man, I played Fatal Frame 2, The Crimson Butterfly, way back in the day. Way back in high school, which was a number of years ago. Um, that game, like me and my dad played through the entire Silent Hill series. We could not play through Fatal Frame 2. We got like maybe 2 hours in that game and just had to stop. It was too scary. That like Silent Hill, I don't know. Silent Hill is like a good like gets under your skin horror, but man, Fatal Frame games are scary as oh, I don't even know how to describe how scary these games
Are they,
are.
like, atmospheric scary, or, like, jump scares
Uh,
scary?
Pretty much all atmospheric. There's like some jump scares during cutscenes, but a lot of the time is I forgot there's some sort of indicator that there's like a ghost nearby, and so you have to go into first person view to like look for it. I wouldn't say they rush at you, but like you'll turn a corner, like you'll just be like, "Oh, what's that in that box?" It's a game that like whenever there's something that's like open a little bit, it makes you look closer, and then there's like something
Oh,
comes out. But
yeah.
the atmosphere is so good. It's like playing like The Ring or like some sort of Japanese. It's a Japanese horror, like
Well,
it's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
Japanese horror game. Um, so it's always like a very desolate. It's a desolate, abandoned town. Usually, I think the whole series does that, and like there's nobody there except for you and ghosts, and
Hmm.
they are so freaky. Only thing I don't like about this new Fatal Frame though is like it looks like it's doing that weird Japanese thing where they're like, oh, there's a young girl protagonist in the game. We better make them put on sexy stuff, which is so stupid
Hmm.
and not like none of that stuff was in Fatal Frame 2. And from what I've seen of trailers in Fatal Frame 4, like they put like boob physics in this game for some reason. Like I
Because, yeah.
yeah, I don't know how old the girls are in this game, but they're not that old. uh, but yeah, I think besides the stupid Japanese fan service stuff, I'm actually really excited for that.
Well, and again, this
Um,
is one of those games that I like that Nintendo kind of started doing this towards the end of the Wii. I like some of the localization of these Japanese games that don't necessarily have a huge audience.
oh yeah. But
Which,
though Xenoblade, like oh
well,
my
yeah,
gosh, like
that's the one that comes to mind always. But there's a couple other ones where they started doing this where it's like, this isn't necessarily a game designed for Western markets, but you know what? It probably doesn't cost that much to throw some subtitles or change a voice actor here or there, whatever you have to do. I don't know what you would have to do, but
yeah.
I like the idea that they're taking some of these things that there is like a cult interest in. I mean, there are enough people who played Fatal Frame where just announcing this was a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're gonna see this a lot more um, with yeah. I think we're gonna see this a lot more with sort of like action games and games with not so much text. I think people like oh when people ask to bring an RPG over, it's like a huge deal because there's just so much text. But with a game like Fatal Frame, I can't imagine. I imagine the text isn't anywhere near as intensive as like Xenoblade or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
no, yeah.
So I think if there's pretty much any sort of actiony Japanese game nowadays, and there's enough people like, hey, we need to bring this game over, they'll bring it over because and they don't even have to put English. Like when they used to for PS2 era, they just had to replace the voice actors with Americans,
Yep.
but now they realize like their audience doesn't really care about that, so they don't have to pay voice actors anymore. They can just do it. It's like we're just gonna release this with Japanese audio and
Just throw some
subtitles,
subtitles, yeah.
and everybody's okay. I think that's pretty cool.
hmm I hope they
Um,
keep doing that.
yeah. Also announced, this is my Nintendo's catching up, ha ha ha, is they now are going to have DS, N64 virtual console games on Wii U. Okay.
So how is this catching up? I'm confused as to how this is Nintendo catching up. So we talked about this last week. I think this is cool, but tell me why this is Nintendo catching up.
Okay, so Nintendo does this thing where they sort of like drip feed,
Yep.
um, drip feed their backlog. So they make it a big deal, like when Earthbound comes out, or when I don't know, or like Chrono Trigger comes. I don't know if that's out yet, but they make a really big deal of it every time. But like the PlayStation Store already has all those games. You can get most of, if not all of the big PlayStation games already. Like they're not like, oh guys, guess what? We're gonna tease Crash Bandicoot. It's gonna be coming soon. There, it's already there. So
That's
I feel
true.
like so I feel like the fact that they're kind of like, oh, guess what? We're gonna have some N64 games on. I was like, why didn't you guys have N64 games on like two or three? Like even during the Wii, like they should have N64 games on
They
there.
had N64 games on the Wii.
Oh,
There was
what's
because the way that they're set up, I don't know the technical things behind this, but like I have Star Fox 64 on my Wii. So when I got my Wii U, you can port over everything,
yeah.
but the Nintendo 64 games never worked. So like all my purchase of Super Nintendo games, Nintendo NES games, those all worked, but the N64 games never worked, and it was some like blah 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 coding, blah blah blah
Oh,
engine, blah 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 menu system, blah 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 whatever.
yeah.
So
But
it's more like a okay, we had these on the Wii, now you can play them on the Wii U, but
yeah. That's okay. Although right now Sony's making me kind of mad that like PlayStation. It's ridiculous that PlayStation 4 can't play at least PS1 games. Like that's insane.
it'll come up eventually. But I mean, and again, I think there's bigger things that they want to do with that because I had that same thing. Like, okay, whenever I want to play these classic games, I have to go get out my PS3 now,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, and even like downloading the PS Plus games, I can't hook my Vita into my PS4 to down transfer because the PS4 store just has PS4 games, it doesn't have the Vita stuff yet,
Oh, weird. I didn't know that.
or at least I haven't
Yeah,
found it.
I
It
do
might
think
sound
it's
like an
kind of cool
idiot
that you
now.
can play DS games. I think that's kind of neat that
Yeah,
you can play like DS games on your TV. So I'm kind of curious how. Although I gotta imagine a DS like game blown up on a big screen is gonna look terrible.
oh yeah, I'm sure it will. But hey, I'll give it a shot. But
Yeah,
I don't know. And again, I don't necessarily think it's Nintendo coming out because I look at like Microsoft. They have nothing for this. They every now and then put a new game up from the original Xbox, but
yeah. I don't think there's I don't think that there's as many fans of the more obscure Xbox games
that's
as
true.
there are like fans of obscure like PlayStation games and stuff like that. I just don't think it just how Xbox has sort of advertised them is I think PlayStation and Nintendo both do this thing like where they always are reflecting on the past, and Microsoft is always like, "This is new, this is new, this is new, this
That's
is
true.
new."
Outside of Halo and Gears of War.
Yeah. No, exactly. But even those, they're like, you forget about the last game.
Yeah,
That's old news. So
that's pretty true.
here's a new game. Um, yeah. So I think it's just like the culture, the sort of the fan culture they've created. Just isn't is like nobody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, where's Voodoo Vince?" Which I really want to play that game. That game looks so cool back in the day. Uh, but yeah, I just don't think you're gonna have people clamming for that stuff as much, or they're just not gonna care as much.
hmm Yeah, I
Um,
can see that.
yeah. So also, okay, I'm gonna talk about this game for maybe like 3 seconds, but they had a trailer for this game called Battleground Z, which just looks really. It looks like they like Nintendo's like we're gonna make our version of Dead Rising.
I didn't think about that when I saw that.
Yeah, and their version of Dead Rising is like you take Dead Rising, you stick Mii's in it,
And make it cute.
and make it super cute. And this is like I think it's a big thing that Nintendo's making a zombie game. Nintendo doesn't normally make zombie games, and they're making the Mii versions of a zombie game. And some of the attacks actually look kind of fun and clever. If you look at the trailer, like there's a part where a guy has like a fishing pole, and
I
he goes over to zombies, and he like throws out his fishing pole, and this pond forms around them, and this giant fish comes out of it and like hits them. I was like, that's kind of cool. This game's probably gonna be stupid, and people are gonna play for maybe 5 minutes, but I just thought that was kind of a fun little thing. That's all I'm gonna say about Battleground Z. Do you have anything to say about Battleground Z?
I literally have nothing to say about that game. I watched that trailer and went, why did you send this to me? This looks kind of ridiculous and pointless.
I just wanted to mention it because I feel like that. I feel like Battleground Z isn't getting enough attention from the gaming community. Um, Next one, Mario Kart Animal Crossing DLC. Um, I think this is one of the things I think Nintendo's doing really well is their DLC. Their DLC is like turning out to be expansion packs. Like they're
hmm
pretty substantial, and I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah, and it's all stuff that people actually want. Like there is enough people out there who love Animal Crossing. I think the last one had like Link and a couple other characters like that. There's enough people who want this stuff, and the DLC packs aren't overly done like they are in other franchises where it's like, okay, this week you get one character. You get
Yeah,
one character. Next week you can get another character. I mean, like when you look at fighting games, it's some of them are just ridiculous, and it's not necessarily just new skins for them. It's I don't know. I like the way that they've kind of rolled some of this stuff out.
yeah. Like with fighting games specifically, like they charge you like $5-6 a character, But here for like $15, I think you get 8 tracks, then you get 3 characters, and each of those 3 characters have their own cars and like customizable items or something like that. And to me, that's just
Yeah,
crazy. I think it's just like one of
it's
those
a
things
lot of
that's like,
stuff for how much it is.
yeah, I think it's like one of those like kind of perfectly priced things. I think it's one of those things that like DLC should like try to like it's Nintendo's definitely not the first one to do good DLC, but I think they're definitely like I think their DLC so far. Other Hyrule Warrior one's a little suspect because they are selling like individual. Well, no, even then they're selling big packs. I think it's a good way to kind of go about DLC is not just like try to nickel and dime everybody. It's like no, here's everything at once, and this is the
Yep.
only way we can get it, and
Mhm.
which I think is fine. I kind of like that, and the
Yeah.
price is gonna be like $10 or something like that.
And it's not you can pay. You get the tracks, then you get the characters, then you get the skins. It's just take all of it. Just give us one
Yeah.
chunk of money, take everything. We're not going to go, okay, it's 50 cents a carrot, 50 cents a skin, $2 a racer, and
Yeah.
$2 a track. And if you want to buy it all individually, it'll be $15. Just nope, just give us $15. You like Mario Kart, you want more Mario Kart. Here is a good chunk of Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like they're giving you Mario Kart as a whole instead of little pieces of Mario Kart. I think it's also kind of crazy that this is now I think 16 DLC tracks, which sounds crazy to me.
Yeah.
But that's a I don't even know how many were in the original game,
I'm
but
trying
it
to think.
was
There were 8 sets of 4, so there were 32 in the original game, I believe. If
okay. So this is like a half a game, like
Yeah.
so far.
But I mean, if you
That's
think about it, each one was $15, right?
yeah.
So if you think about it, if each one had, I think, 3 or 4 racers, 8 tracks,
I
you
never
essentially just paid $30, and you got
half a
16
game.
out of 32 tracks, and you got 8 out of 30. You got like half the amount of tracks and a quarter of the amount of racers. So the pricing actually really makes sense
Yeah,
in terms for the content that's there. And again, I don't think that's something you see where, I'm going to pick on Call of Duty, but every game does this. Where Call of Duty, it's $15 and you get 4 multiplayer maps.
yeah. I think in the end, good job Nintendo. Good job on that one.
Yay, Nintendo!
Yeah. Good job, Nintendo. And they're also doing the two, and this is just kind of like an added bonus. I don't know why they finished with this because I didn't think it was like a big thing to finish on. But they finished on like, oh, now you can do 200cc. It's like okay,
But I
that's kind
think
of cool.
I think for the people who are hardcore Mario Kart people, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
I could see
there's
that.
some people who are like hardcore Mario Kart people, just like there's some people who are hardcore Smash people,
Yeah,
where 200cc is a big thing. And again, I think the people who are actually watching a Nintendo Direct are probably the people that is a huge thing for.
I was yeah. I still don't think that's like ending conference big though. It wasn't a good one more thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess when you consider the other stuff that they announced,
Yeah,
in comparison, I don't think that fits at the end. I think if you did something like Fatal Frame or the Fire Emblem thing, which we'll get to here in a second, I think those things would have been good things to end on.
figured. Yeah. So this is before we get onto the Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei. Phil Spencer said he wants to put Banjo in Smash, which is
Yeah.
such a weird thing, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, he said something like, because Microsoft now owns Rare, who owns all the rights to this, and he said something along the lines of, we're fine working with Nintendo. We've done some stuff with them before. It wouldn't be an issue. If they called and asked us, we'd do it. Or something like that. I don't remember his direct comment on it, but it was something along those lines.
That's so weird. I guess it'd be kind of cool to see that. But I think like the whole point of the Duck Hunt dog was because they couldn't get Banjo Kazooie. Like the Duck Hunt dog actually has a few attacks and even a skin that is Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was kind of their Banjo Kazooie character. So I don't know. I think it's like one of those like Phil Spencer just talking about stuff on Twitter and not really.
I don't think it's in the works or anything, but I think, throwing it out there, and I think enough people want it, because, I mean, for the most part, Banjo is a Nintendo franchise. Other than Nuts and Bolts,
Yeah.
which is on the 360, I think every game's been on a Nintendo console.
Yeah, I think Microsoft actually did. I think they had a pretty good effort of trying to make that like an Xbox thing, because they released like the HDs of Banjo Kazooie
Yep.
1 and 2, and they released Nuts and Bolts. But I still think people always go back to, oh, this is a Nintendo thing, bring Rare home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be kind of cool if it happens. I seriously doubt this is going to happen. I don't think this is. No, it's not happening, Phil.
With Smash, I feel like Smash is kind of like a great equalizer for content. I mean, think about it at this point. You've got Sonic in there, you've got Pac-Man, you've got Mega Man. You had Snake. There's
Yeah, I guess that's true.
enough
Snake
there's
was
enough
super weird.
companies that have just thrown in characters into Smash
Hmm.
that, I mean, Xbox doing it. I mean, I think the way that the industry is set up now, I don't think anybody from Microsoft or Sony is considering Nintendo the enemy of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of
Yeah, I
like
don't think.
Microsoft versus Sony, and then Nintendo's kind of over here on their own side doing their own thing.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, yeah, because again, Nintendo's definitely going like to a totally different market too. That like
Oh yeah,
Microsoft and Sony aren't necessarily trying to get at. Yeah, I mean, like Nintendo's been like pretty strong about marketing the Wii U as a toy, which sounds demeaning, but it's really not. Like they really are trying to do like this is a family thing. This is a thing you sit down with your family, which I think is a cool way to do it. Like I think
yeah,
it's a cool way to say like here's a system for kids.
yeah.
I think that's neat. I
Here's
think
a
we need
system
some.
that is just fun. We're not going for everything you can possibly imagine. This isn't going to be your all-in-one entertainment device. This is just, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun and it's kid oriented. I think like that's a. I think video games have gotten a little too serious, and I think it's kind of nice that there is something like that. And now that you said that, like they aren't really a direct competitor with them, I was like, maybe that would happen. Maybe that will happen. I mean, for hell, like right now, there's a Microsoft game on PlayStation, which is like Minecraft. When you
Yeah,
boot
that's
up
true.
I think when you boot up Minecraft now, the Microsoft Studio logo comes up, which is just
I'm sure it
crazy.
does. If I was Microsoft, I would put that in there just as like a point every time that thing turns on.
Yeah, I know that thing just like randomly pop up every once in a while too.
Brought to you by Xbox One. How's the PS4 look?
Yeah. Oh god,
We
that'd
have
be so
Halo
fun.
soon.
Yeah. But like in-game advertising for other Microsoft for like, Xbox One games. What are you gonna do about it? It's Minecraft. What? You're not gonna put
Com-
Minecraft on PlayStation anymore?
Coming soon to PS3. Master Chief skins for Minecraft.
Oh, real quick, there's this is super weird and totally off topic, and this happened like a long time ago. There's heavy rain skins for Minecraft. I have no idea what sort of market they're going for with doing heavy rain skins for Minecraft.
That audience does not seem like there'd be much crossover to me.
No, no. If you really like David Cage murder dramas, I'm sure you're gonna like Minecraft.
And building things out of pixelated blocks.
Like, what are you gonna build with those characters? Like a really depressing rainy town or something? I don't know. Here's a dead Minecraft character in a bathtub.
We put an origami bird next to him.
Yeah. Okay, well, if they had an origami bird as an item, then yeah, that'd be kind of cool. And we kind of say this one for last because this is like a weird. I'm not gonna say clusterfuck, but man, this looks weird. Fire Emblem, or I'm not sure which way this is around. Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. It has a really weird name in Japan that I don't think they're gonna use for America. That has like a sharp symbol in it, so I don't think they're gonna use that one for America. Um, this game does not look good. It looks okay.
Okay, well, we need to preface this by saying we have very limited experience with both series.
I
Correct?
no. Well, okay,
For me,
kinda.
I will tell you, I've never played any of the Shin Megami Tensei games, and I played Fire Emblem for GameCube. That
You
is the
played
only
No, no,
experience I
you
have
played
with this.
Persona. Persona's Shin Megami.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I have played a little bit of Persona, but I never finished a Persona game because
Y-
I have better
I'm
things to do with 80 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I've put like a total of like 60 hours in the Persona games. Um, but anyway, we're not gonna talk about that. Like I asked Brad and me, we watched the first trailer for this, that they had like the announcement trailer a while back, and then watched the next trailer. Oh my God, there is some sort of weird disconnect because Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei, they both have really subdued art styles. I think like very angular, simplistic is not the right word, but very well defined designs.
Mhm.
And this thing just looks like a garbagey mess of over designed characters. It looks I don't even know what this game is because Shin Megami like first of all Shin Megami Persona is a spin-off of Shin Megami. Shin Megami Tensei just itself is a very dark series.
Yeah.
Like Shin Megami Nocturne is about the end of the world and you have to go fight Satan. The latest one I think is about like a research team going to Antarctica because there's some sort of like demon realm opening up. And then Fire Emblem is also kind of serious. I haven't played a lot of Fire Emblem, so I don't can't talk too much about it.
Well,
Um,
Fire Emblem it's serious in the thing that always got me with Fire Emblem that makes it kind of serious is it's stressful because it's like if somebody dies, they're gone. There's no bringing them back. They're dead.
okay, all right, but okay, so even that, like even like the gameplay mechanic, like there's serious games, and then I don't know what the hell this thing is, but it looks
Yeah,
just
from the trailer, like because in my mind I was picturing, okay, this is going to just be a really messed up Fire Emblem style game,
Yeah,
or
like yeah,
that's what I
like
pictured is the Fire Emblem battle system, but with this really weird, messed up, twisted story.
yeah, and like I would expect like Shin Megami, yeah, like yeah, basically like Fire Emblem in the Shin Megami universe, or yeah, or the other way around with Shin Megami sort of battle system in the Fire Emblem universe, or something like I don't know something, but whatever this is like. Especially, I think you should especially go and look at the Persona 5 trailer for how strong that art direction is and how
Oh
good
yeah,
looking it is. And compared to this game just looks like a hot mess. And actually, if you look at the trailer, the battle system actually kind of looks like Grandia, which is kind of like Child of Light.
yep.
So it doesn't really, from what I've seen of it, doesn't look like it uses either the Fire Emblem or the Shin Megami Tensei battle systems. So I don't know what this thing is because it also looks kind of like Persona, um, but not at all. And there's like a lot of weird fan servicey stuff, like a lot of like skimpy clothes and things like that, which like Persona 4 Golden had a lot of it. But Shin Megami Tensei games in general don't really have that. And there's like sexy characters, usually they're like monsters, so it's like this weird pseudo sexual creepy thing. Not whatever the hell this is. Like in the trailer, around 40 seconds, a girl transforms. Like, okay, I'm thinking of like Sailor Moon, where a girl transforms. It's not like she's like in a battle costume. This girl is in her underwear. It's I don't know what this game's about. This game looks so bad compared to what other people want. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel great about it.
Yeah, and from the two trailers, like the tone of the two trailers is completely different too.
Yeah,
I mean, the first one just kind of had this very like serious, like this, and it was just kind of this like, okay, this is gonna be really epic. And then the next one comes up with like this Japanese pop soundtrack and just I don't know.
they really just mashed the two franchises into each other. It looked like a car accident of two franchises
And
instead of like a
yeah,
nice melding of the two.
hmm
I I don't know. This game just looks weird. I'm just interested to see more, just because like you know,
yeah.
driving by a car crash more than
I mean,
actually wanting to
and
play this game.
I mean, at this point in time, we could be eating all these words in another year when this game comes out and is everything we love about Fire Emblem and everything you love about Persona.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
still
Well,
early, but
we'll see. We'll see.
at
This is
this
actually made by
point,
last thing. This is actually made by the Fire Emblem devs. I thought this might be done by the Shin Megami guys. This is the Fire Emblem side,
huh?
so I don't know.
That makes
I,
that like kind of the trailer even make less sense to me.
yeah, exactly. I would expect them to like. Yeah, it's like these guys. It's the Fire Emblem guys trying to do a Persona game, and it
Yeah.
doesn't look like it's working out too well. So actually, we kind of want to end on that one. So that was episode 7 of our Darksliders podcast. We'd like to thank all the people who have been kind of with us since episode 1. Yeah, we
All
got like a
three
few
of you.
dedicated, huh?
All three of them.
Yeah. We have a few dedicated people on Twitter that are always responding and giving us comments and things like that. So we really appreciate that. And of course, we also like new people listen to us. We do this because it's fun, and we like that people are listen to us. We don't get paid to do this. This is just kind of our weekly discussion of talking about games, and we just do this for fun. So yeah, that was episode 7 of the Darksliders podcast. We like doing this, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.